Development is the first phase of the planning process for your session. You are leading a lecture. It is helpful to start with your goals for the session. What do you want your students to take away? These goals will be outlined in the session learning objectives. The purpose of a lecture is to add to the information that the students acquire through other material rather than repeat the information that students have already read. Lectures should enhance the information that the students have. Consider the foundational knowledge required of the students in order to learn from your presentation. What gaps might they have in their current knowledge? Identify materials that could be used to help fill these learning gaps. This could be textbook readings, a video, or a digital activity. This material will be listed as required material for the students. Required material implies information that is critical to the student's ability to understand and participate fully in the session. Familiarize yourself with the learning objectives for your session prior to outlining your content. These are the key takeaways that express to what degree the students will be able to demonstrate and apply their understanding. This will help you to stay on track when planning your session content. Utilize the learning objectives to outline your lesson plan. Keep in mind the length of time allowed for your session. The length of time will determine how much and to what depth of the content you can cover. Use the learning objectives to shape the content of your presentation. Keep in mind the students' present knowledge and consistently make connections from the new information back to existing knowledge. A lecture utilizes less discussion than other session types, so formal audience response is not utilized during lectures. However, student engagement will help the students to better retain new content. During planning, block out short periods of time, even as short as 2 minutes, at regular intervals throughout your lecture to invite student interaction and check for understanding. See the linked resources section if you would like more specific examples of ways to encourage student interaction in a lecture setting. Plan comprehension questions ahead of time. This will help you to stay on track throughout the session and retain student engagement. A lesson planning template is linked in the resource section to support your planning process. Although you may not fill it out in its entirety, it can be helpful for planning the flow of your session. Plan to leave time for a summary at the end of your session. Refer back to the learning objectives and briefly address each one. This can be a good time for an informal assessment. Ask open-ended questions directly related to learning objectives and listen for student responses. Consider what supplementary materials you can offer the students to follow your session. These are not required materials, but rather aids for further understanding. These can be textbook readings, a video, a digital activity, or something else. The next step in the planning process is design. See the next video to learn more about setting up presentation materials and designing your session page on Canvas.